I thought we were going to start with the easy questions. Let's see here. I mean, it's a really good one. A couple points I would make. One is we are already in a regional conflict, and it's just a question of whether it gets worse or whether it find ways to de-escalate. So that's point one. Point two is there are enough connections between what's going on in the Middle East, sort of geopolitically, with, in particular, Russia, that make it plausible, at least, that the conflict is not really, as if it were to escalate significantly, it'd be difficult to just contain it inside the region itself, right? One of the things that has struck me most in reading about like the 1930s, for example. So I'm not saying that we're on the cusp of some kind of massive global conflict, but one of the things that has struck me in reading about the 30s has been that you did have these disparate kind of theaters of conflict with, Italian, essentially imperialism in North Africa, German in Eastern Europe, Soviet in kind of that same sphere, Japan in East Asia, that all started there, or my guess is a lot of ink being spilled right now inside CIA and inside every intelligence service that's focused on this region to try to understand the signposts for broader conflict, to try to understand what might trigger it, and to come up with scenarios to help understand and kind of bound the possibilities about where the conflict might go. And getting a hand, of course, these are unanswerable questions, right? So at the same time as CIA is, for example, trying to collect information on, let's say, Iranian plans and intentions, right, with respect to Israel, with respect to Iran's relationship with Hezbollah, like we're trying to collect real secrets about Iranian capabilities, but also, what the Iranians intend to do. We are also at the same time trying to deal with a world that is inherently unpredictable, and you're trying to bound that uncertainty so that you can help policymakers understand what scenarios they need to be prepared for. And I'd imagine that a lot of the work that's going on right now is, especially on the analytics side, is separate from one another, but eventually kind of merged and coalesced and became one conflict. I think that's very possible. And, I certainly couldn't put any numbers on it. And, now I'm a novelist, so I'm mostly, harvesting geopolitics for ideas for plots and things like that. I think there's a lot of reasons to be concerned. As it relates to the conflict in the Middle East, about that. There's also, of course, just the daily business of, we have partnerships and relationships with intelligence services all over this region and with foreign leaders all over this region. And we're trying to understand how best we can support them and how best we can actually exchange information with them so that we all have more information than our adversaries do.